War is raging across the desert valley. At the gates of the human capital, the besieging Havoc army have been notified of the Pale Angel's victory and her goal to reinforce the city. The commander of the Havoc army decides to split his force, keeping all the war machines, locking down the city gates, then sends a portion of their troops to stop the Pale Angel. This battle was put into the hands of you, our viewers. Battle reports were sent in of armies raging across the sands. Human Empire armies, hordes of undead, even orcs were spotted out in the desert. Then when the dust had settled, we were left with a 50-50 split of victories and defeats for the Pale Angel and her army. We will cover the aftermath of that battle shortly. Seeing the numbers of the enemies at the gate reduced, the city defenders make the decision to sally out and attack their besiegers. In the army the besiegers left behind, there are two divisions of Havoc Dwarf infantry, their short legs, unable to keep up with the rest of the marching army, sent to attack the Pale Angel. There are two siege giants, ready with their giant maces to smash down the walls. There are 4 pieces of Havoc Dwarf artillery, led by an artillerist commander, and a division of mercenary hunters that decided the loot from the city is worth more than fighting a field battle. The defending forces consist of 3 steam tanks, a mounted division with 2 units of knights, a unit of griff riders led by a battle master on a griffin, and finally a ragtag group led by a champion of a mage council, 1 unit of marksman rifles, and 2 units of marksman crossbows. As the ranged units man the walls, the human defenders get the first turn, and the steam tanks sally out. One of the Havoc Dwarf warrior divisions moves to cover the artillery. The cavalry forms up to move out of the gate. The twin siege giants double time it towards the walls, seeing that this will be their opportunity to smash things. The mage council on the wall cast wild form on the griffin riders, giving them +1 to hit, and they also cast protection on the lead steam tank, giving it +1 defense. Then the crossbowmen on the wall let loose their bolts into the siege giants, causing 4 wounds, leaving the giant beast with 14 left. The Havoc Dwarf warriors and the mercenary archers move up behind to support the giants. Then the artillery, ignoring the steam tanks, blasts into the city walls. The heavy bombard shells slamming into the thick stone wall. Cracks begin forming. First activation of turn 2, the steam tanks move along the wall to make room for the knights. When they come out of the gate, they turn their heavy turrets towards the giants, firing off their heavy cannons. They're able to take 12 wounds off of the previously wounded giant. Then the giants bear down on the steam tanks. The knights then sally out directly into the giants. The wounded giant goes down to impact hits from all of the heavy horse. The second unwounded giant puts up much more of a fight. It doesn't go down until the last attack of the rest of the mounted division. The mounted units reform, ready to charge into the next wave of havoc. The Havoc Dwarf artillery, seeing that those knights will be a problem shortly, switch their target from the city walls to the mounted division. When siege weapons made for breaking walls are turned onto the squishy flesh, it is devastating. The cannons are able to kill 18 knights, forcing a morale test on the panic mounted division. They pass, barely. The mage unit on the wall is able to cast wild form on the griff riders, and this time cast protection on the Griff Riders and the remaining knights. Then, seeing that nothing else is in range of the guns or the crossbows, the whole division gets off the wall, and they also begin to sally out. The mercenary marksmen fire their bows into the mounted division. They are able to kill off the last 2 remaining knights and put 1 wound on the Griff Riders. Losing another unit means they have to take another divisional morale test, and it is passed. The 2 divisions of Havoc Dwarves march forward on their stumpy legs, presenting the enemy with a solid line of shields. The Griff Riders, seeing their opportunity, slip between the 2 shield walls of the Havoc Dwarves, slamming into the mercenary bowmen. Bowmen bodies fly as the first rank disintegrates under the claws of the Griff Riders. The Havoc Dwarves on the right flank see the opportunity and charge into the flank of the Griff Riders. With the blessing of the Mage Council's spell, the Griffins only lose 3 wounds, causing 1 of the Griff Riders to go down. The Griff Riders lose combat, but they pass their morale test. The steam tanks turn all of their weapons onto the shield wall of the Havoc Dwarves. The heavy shields of their shield wall, stopping most of the damage. 7 of the Havoc Dwarf warriors still go down into the sand. The Havoc Dwarf artillery changes target again to the steam tanks. After all of the smoke is cleared, all 3 steam tanks are still standing. 1 has taken 3 wounds as is covered in dents and scorch marks. The wall defenders complete their sally out and level all of their weapons. The Mage Council decides to use all of its reserved magic points, casting Fireball, Leech, and Blood Hex. But even with all of the awesome magical power thrown at them, only 3 of the Havoc Dwarf warriors go down. Then the ranged units of the division open up, all 20 crossbowmen, 10 riflemen, and even the mages with their magic wands. They are able to kill off 10 of the Havoc Dwarves, causing the division to have to take a morale test, which they fail, and their little legs take them right off the board. The mercenary bowmen back up and fire into the Griff Riders. They are able to score 4 more wounds, forcing another divisional morale test on the Griff Riders, but yet again they pass. The Wall Defender Division continues towards the melee between the Griff Riders and the Havoc Dwarf warriors. Between the spell power and the fire power of the division, they're able to cause 14 wounds, forcing the Havoc Dwarves to take a morale test and fail, leading to the division running off the board. The Havoc Dwarf artillery again switches back over to the Griff Riders, firing off all 4 of its barrels. It is able to cause 7 wounds on the Griff Riders, forcing another divisional command check. This time they fail, and the few survivors run off the board. The steam tanks reduce the mercenary bowmen down to just 15 men. They pass their divisional morale test. Those same mercenaries then fire into the Wall Defenders Division. They cut down 5 of the crossbowmen. The steam tanks activate, moving towards the heavy guns. They fire their steam-powered cannons at the heavy guns while also firing their smaller guns at the mercenary bowmen. Because the heavy guns are entrenched, none of the steam cannons are able to find their target. The smaller guns are able to cut down 5 of the mercenaries, who then fail their divisional morale test and run off the board, causing an army morale test, which the heavy guns pass, decide to stick around to dish out some more punishment. Deciding to fire where they could do the most devastation, the Havoc Dwarf artillery fires into the Wall Defender Division. The artillery fire kill an entire unit of crossbowmen. The Wall Defenders then move into range of the heavy artillery. Between magic, firepower, and well-placed bolt shots, 3 of the artillery pieces' crews go down, forcing a division morale test, which is failed, causing the crew of the last remaining artillery piece to run off the board. At the end of the battle, the siege is officially broken. Our community battle this week with the 50-50 split of games. Both armies entered into a pitched battle over the sand dunes. The fighting continued the whole day until the sun set, with no clear winner. Both armies returned to their camps, and in the night, the Havoc army was able to regroup with what was left of the besieging force, withdrawing into the desert, and the Pale Angel, with her remaining forces, made it to the human capital. In the next campaign turn, the Pale Angel and her army will choose to reinforce and recover inside the human capital. But that does not mean that the fighting stops. There is still death on the wind. This is the battle for this week. That completes this week's campaign episode. We will return in 2 weeks for episode 3 of the Scouring of the Sands campaign. For the viewer battles, you can send pictures and battle reports to warbossfitz@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord and show off all of your pictures and battle reports in the campaign game section. That will do it for this week from the garage. I hope everyone's having fun out there, and remember, it's just a game. Don't take it too seriously. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.